Regardless of when you've watched it, Friends is by and large one of the most famous, most popular, and most beloved TV sitcoms of all time. It launched many careers and set some of the cast up for lifetime fame. The show went on for many years and had all sorts of hilarious moments that can't be missed or forgotten. But one of the best things about the show is that the writers knew when an unscripted moment worked and that they needed to leave it in. So with that, allow us to show you the top 10 unscripted Friends moments that were kept in the show. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 10, worst hangover. While a certain other hangover would go and get the credit for an episode like this, Friends very much had a hangover aftermath long before the movie got made. In it, things went absolutely nuts for Ross and Rachel, because in a drunken stupor, they got married. When they came to from their hangover, they didn't remember anything at all, and the others had to go and let them know the truth. This was when their relationship as actual friends was at a low point. As such, Ross was trying to convince Rachel that they should go and try to make it work. But instead, Rachel got more and more angry at Ross for even thinking that this was an option, which led to an outburst that Jennifer Aniston ad-libbed. After insisting that Rachel take this marriage seriously, she bursted out with, "This isn't a marriage, it's the world's worst hangover." Apparently when she said this, the audience laughed so hard it had to be edited out, because no one saw that line coming. Number 9, real tears. Let's go now from the marriage Ross didn't mean to get into at first to the one that he suffered from a lot after he got divorced. Don't forget, long before the will they won't they ordeal with Rachel, Ross came into the show just off a divorce with his ex Carol. He was in such a state because of that divorce that he didn't go on date for years afterward, 9 years according to him. And when he does eventually go on a date, who should go and show up? Carol. Naturally, Ross screws up the date royally and the two meet up and talk about it later. Ross confesses that he still loves her and that they should try to make the marriage work, and Carol actually cries. That wasn't planned, she was just so moved by the performance Ross's actor was giving that it just happened naturally. Hey, that's acting for you. Number 8, prank. Oh look, another aspect of Ross's life that we have to talk about. At the end of season 1, Ross and Carol have a son named Ben, and we watch Ben grow up through the show at certain points. At one such section, he's old enough to be interacted with, and Rachel naturally has to go and watch him. She's all but desperate to earn his praise and be considered fun, so she goes and teaches him the art of the practical joke. Ross isn't amused when he realizes this because many of the jokes are on him. But he gets his revenge at the end of the episode, because after revealing a prank to Ross, Ross chases Ben up the stairs and makes it seem as though he fell down the stairs. Aniston's reaction to the dummy being thrown down the stairs was very real, as the producers wanted a genuine reaction, which they absolutely got. Number 7, call for Bob. In one episode, Chandler accidentally gets a call from a woman who thinks she's calling a man named Bob. After revealing that she was drunk and naked, Chandler picks up the phone and sets up a date with her and Bob. The plan was to go swoop in to save her when the date goes wrong, which is exactly what he did. But when she calls back to inform him how things went and Chandler asks how he was, her response was, But that wasn't the unscripted part. Later on, the woman Jade calls back to beg Bob for one more steamy night together for old time's sake. Joey was the one who overheard this message and literally trips over himself to get the phone. The falling part wasn't planned, but it was too hilarious not to leave in. Hard not to see why. Number 6, cabinet smack. Relationships are very much a key part of the show, but for Chandler, he kept finding himself in all sorts of bad relationships before finding the one. One such example is Rachel's boss Joanna, who at one point actually handcuffs him in her work office without any pants and then leaves him there for a while, which is hilarious enough until Rachel and a coworker go in and find him there. Things only get weirder when he gets chained to a filing cabinet and he has to all but beg Rachel to release him. In doing so, he accidentally opens the filing cabinet and smacks himself in the head pretty good. That wasn't planned, and yet their reactions are all too classic and priceless. Physical comedy, it never fails to amaze. Number 5, Robin Williams and Billy Crystal. When you have a popular sitcom like Friends, a very common thing is to go and have cameos in various parts of the show. Easily the most hilarious unscripted and unexpected cameos of all time for Friends was when Billy Crystal and the late Robin Williams arrived in the favorite coffee shop and sit on the couch next to the friends. What happened next was a masterclass of improv, as both Crystal and Williams start going into a scene where one thinks his wife is cheating on him, the other is trying to comfort him, and then he reveals it was he who was sleeping with his wife. Everything about this scene was improvised, including what the friends did. It was so perfect that they kept it in. The best part though, the cameo itself wasn't supposed to happen. Crystal and Williams were just fans of the show and got on set and then were asked to do a cameo, which spiraled into what you saw. Wonderful. Number 4, Blue Blazer Back. Acting isn't always as easy as you'd think it is. They have to remember lines, remember what order they're in, and how to emphasize them. And most importantly, they have to say it correctly, which is where a bunch of sitcom gag reels are born. And one classic example of this spiraling into a kept-in scene, Joey is depressed because he's having trouble getting acting gigs. Chandler helps him out by getting him a job as a museum tour guide, which he lands and is given a uniform that is very, stylized. Chandler sees this, and when Joey asks for his opinions, he goes, "Donald Trump called and he wants his blue blazer black." Get it? He slipped up and said black instead of back. Now, usually this would end the take, but Matthew Perry kept the scene going, and then Jennifer Aniston and Courtney Cox got in on the action and started making fun of him while in character and kept the scene alive until it was done. According to the team, this was so much funnier than the original lines. Number 3, Pages Stuck. Holiday episodes are classic for sitcoms, and in one Thanksgiving episode of Friends, Rachel goes and makes a trifle, which at first is fine, but then some odd ingredients make it into the dish, like beef and peas. Ross and Joey try and figure out how this happened, and they realize that the cookbook Rachel was using had pages stuck together, which made it so that Rachel made half trifle and half shepherd's pie. Classic. But that's not the unscripted moment, obviously. That would be when they declare that the pages are stuck together, and without missing a beat, Joey goes, "Chandler," accusing him of doing some not-so-savory things to the book. If you don't get that joke, go ahead and look it up. Anyway, this was unscripted, and they played it beautifully with the reactions and follow-up. Number 2, QTip Quip. Sometimes the actors involved in a show are just so good at their roles that they think of lines that perfectly fit a situation and their character. In the season 2 premiere, Chandler is having issues with a tailor, and Joey recommends the tailor his family use, and then had trouble remembering when it was he who got his first suit by the man. Acting this way prompted Perry to go and make an improvised joke about a Q-tip and inferring that Joey brain damaged himself. What really sells this moment is twofold. First, Perry's physical comedy after the joke is priceless, and LeBlanc reacts as perfectly as he could as Joey. Perry noted in commentary that this is one of the best lines he's ever come up with. Number 1, Last Laugh. It's almost poetic that the final unscripted moment of the video is the literal last line of a series as a whole, because with the various friends going their own ways to go about their own lives, they're needless to say very emotional about departing, so much so that Rachel asks if they can all go get coffee, which everyone is for. To which Chandler asks, "Where?" As in, where would they get coffee? As if he didn't already know. If you look at the reactions of Cox, LeBlanc, Aniston, and the others, they weren't expecting it, and the laugh and smiles that follow were natural from that last laugh. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at Friends and how some of its funniest or shocking moments ever were absolutely unscripted? Did you know that they were unscripted beforehand? Did you get a sense that it was too meta to be written in? Which of these moments were your favorites? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.